Success can take many forms, but most importantly, it can be a positive and uplifting story. This is Success in Iowa. Thanks for joining us on Success in Iowa. On this episode, we are back in Pottawatomie County in the community of Council Bluffs to visit with Kevin Doncaster. Kevin is president and founder of an organization called Warhawk PTSD Service Dogs. And Kevin, first off, thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us and to talk about your organization. You and your family just recently moved to Iowa, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we're transplants from Oklahoma. We left big oil and we went into, I guess, big food. So we work for one of the world's largest food producers today. And, that's an interesting thing. I'm sure we'll get into that later, but every member of Warhawk PTSD Service Dogs works full time, and we donate 100% of our time to the organization. So I came here for a better opportunity for my family and to better fund my own organization, because we pitch in everything that we got to this thing. So
let's talk about your background a little bit, because you are a longtime vet. Tell us a little bit about that military background, and then what led you to want to found this organization.
You bet. And thanks for, asking that too, because this is a critical piece as to why this organization exists. So number one, I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I'm also a civilian contractor as well, veteran, right? So combined, I've got 14 years of experience serving my country in one capacity or another, either as a green suiter or as a civilian supporting the war effort. And combined again, I've got 7 years in the Middle East, 3 years in Iraq, and 4 years in Afghanistan. And I've been blown up twice. I have very little hearing in my left ear. I've got a lot of back pain, chronic back pain that, I get treated for on a regular basis. And, when I finally hung it up, I came home with battling all kinds of demons and stuff. And, it led to prescription medications, suicidal thoughts, and all kinds of trouble. And I didn't know how to cope anymore. And fortunately, I had a battle buddy that really pulled me out of the depths of hell. And that led to me going on a trip to see him, then going on a trip to see a lady by the name of Julie Benage. Her son was with 3-5 Marines, okay, 3rd Battalion, 5th Infantry Division. And that unit lost 25 Marines, and another 200 would lose an arm or a leg or both. And not many of that 200 are alive. That's the tragedy. The tragedy is the suicide rate. And that's why we stood up. I went and found Julie when she was living in Missouri, visited her, and she had this PTSD service dog. She said, "Kevin, you need to get one of these." So I began my search, and I found my first service dog, which was Lacey, and she is an Australian Shepherd, and they're trained to pick up on your mental state, and they'll disrupt you through direct intervention. And when you're in public, they keep people at bay by providing a safe distance between you and them, and they'll block for you, and they'll let people know that you're getting a little too close. So great experience for me, and that's how my personal journey started. 2 weeks after that, a buddy of mine killed himself. And I never say that any of my friends or these veterans, or even going beyond veterans, because first responders have a pretty high suicide rate too. In the general community, every 13 minutes in America, there's a suicide, every 13 minutes. And so we've helped a range of veterans all the way to special circumstances of PTSD in our time with this organization. But you don't have to go to war to experience a war, and I'm very adamant about that. But 2 weeks after I got my dog, a buddy killed himself. To this day, that family has never allowed for me to mention his name or talk about it. And so I can't say much about it, but it's not a story that we don't know. In one way or another, people that I've spoke to know this thing. They know it on a personal level because they've experienced it via a friend or family member. Right after that happened, Lacey just kept nudging me, and I called the guy that trained my dog, and I said, "How do I do what you did for me for other people?" My dog was gifted to me. And so that's that night, 2 weeks after I received my dog, this organization was formed on a hope and a literal prayer. because I talked to the breeder of these dogs, and he said, I've got 2 dogs that are ready to go, and they're yours, whether you do anything with me or not. I just want you to help me to break even, vet bills, feed bills, training. And if you can agree to that now and lock this deal in prayer, then let's go forward. Let's go forward and help people. And we did. And that's how we got started.
Too often, Kevin, when something like this happens, this becomes the definition of that person, as opposed to everything about their life that led up to that. And I know that, I mean, I can tell by looking at you that this is something that you want to remember your friends. Yes, they lost that battle, but that it doesn't define who they are.
On my left arm, I have a guy that by the name of Terry Horner, who took his own life. Again, I never say committed suicide. We don't commit cancer. I don't believe we should be saying committed suicide. Okay. Died by suicide. But this guy, his heart is in another person's body because his heart was donated. And so his story's not over yet, and then on this arm, and I know it's upside down, but I've got IGY6, and a lot of people get this tattoo with IGY6 and a semicolon. That means your story's not over yet. You're still fighting this battle. People think that as president and founder of an organization that's been as successful as we have over the last 3 years, that I got it going on, or I've got it all together. Man, I got nothing figured out. And then I've got 25 names on the same arm of those Marines to constantly remind myself of what I am fighting for. Those sacrifices that were made, those ultimate sacrifices, but also the war that comes home with you. And you're right. The last thing that people are going to remember about you is, oh, that guy died by suicide. No, that guy was a family man. He was a father. He was a husband, and we just didn't get to them fast enough. And you're right. All too often, there's a stigma around mental health. And I want to destigmatize that. I want to normalize this as much as possible so that people aren't afraid to say, man, I'm not okay. And to the veterans out there that are struggling, my message is real simple. You've got so much training. You've got so much capability. We just got to find a way to refocus that and repurpose it, and then reintegrate them back into society again. That's all we got to do. And it sounds like it's real simple, and sometimes it's not, but you're right. There's a stigma out there, and sometimes that's the last thing that they're remembered for, and it kills me.
Often a person going through it they have a sense that they're in free fall and they just don't have anything to hold on to. And what you are doing with PTSD Service Dogs is giving them a bit of a toehold, something that they can grab onto and maybe start to feel a little bit of a foundation again. Walk us through the process. How does this work with getting a dog trained and then getting that animal to the correct person?
Well, the first thing that I want to say is that we have grown a lot since our first year. In the first year, it was all about matching up that potential candidate with the right dog. We might, at that time, might have had 5 dogs at any given time that we'd bring a person in and see which dog chose them. We still do that very similarly today. But I'm saying this real quick before I get into the details of what we do from the dog perspective, to say that if you're struggling and maybe a dog isn't for you, I'd still encourage you to reach out to us, because we have mental health services. We got all kinds of different services because we've got these strategic alliances with other nonprofit organizations that can give you lifeline support if you are on the edge and you don't want to call. Please forgive me for saying this. The 1-800 number for suicide prevention, it might as well be 1-800-NO HELP, because they're going to get you help in the next 24 hours and you're in crisis then. An example of what we can do now is vet to vet life crisis team. Okay, vet to vet life crisis team will help those people that are really on the edge right then and there. And they're not going to say, we'll get you an appointment in 24 hours. But once we get through that, then there's Warrior Kind that works with veterans and first responders and gets you those mental health visits. Maybe you don't have a job or insurance right now. Guess what? They're going to pay for it. They're going to take care of it. So getting into the details of the dogs, though, we follow the ADA standard +1 is what I like to call it, because we go a step above and beyond. The ADA standard is real simple. If you want a service dog, you've got to have number one, it's got to be it's got to be obedient, right? So there's a basic obedience, and then there's advanced obedience, right? So if you're in public, you can't have that dog nipping at people. You can't have it trying to eat food if you're at a restaurant, and you can't have it going to the bathroom. You know, it would be a terrible thing if we were in studio right now and I had a dog that I claim as a service dog and it's just going over to the corner and using the bathroom, right? That's not a good thing. So that's house broke, obedient trained. So now we got two things. The third thing is task. And that task is that direct intervention that I was talking about that Lacey does for me. We take it a step further by giving it two tasks. So one, it's picking up on your emotional state. Two, it's constantly looking to block for you in public situations. The process to get a dog from us is you got to apply. We work 9 months out of the year, and then we take the last 3 months of the year to fundraise for the year going ahead. And the way we work is we have you fill out an application online. That application is not live right now because we only bring it up whenever we have the ability to provide a dog for the next potential candidate, right? So right now, as we're fundraising for next year, we're going to see by the end of the year what that picture looks like for us and how many dogs we want to do. After you apply, we then take your application, we give you a call, and we interview you. You know, and there's all kinds of things in the application that will identify as to whether or not you really are looking to have a dog, or if this is the right fit for you, because some people have never owned a dog before in their lives, and now we got to teach them how to be professional handlers. That is such a crucial aspect to this thing. Okay, you have a responsibility to that dog, and that dog has a responsibility to you. It's a codependency, right? From there, we're going to then assess your situation. What is your living situation? If you're in an apartment, we got to work with that apartment complex to verify if there's going to be any stumbling blocks, because we need them to be involved in the process leading up to the point of service dog certification. So I might give you that dog for a few months at a time so that you can continue to bond and work with the dog in the way that we've coached and mentored you to do so. If that apartment complex says it's got to be a service dog or nothing, we might be in a little bit of trouble. So we got to navigate some of those challenges. If you got a house, do you got a fence? Dogs are dogs, right? They still need an opportunity to run, get out some of that energy and things like that. So, and the dog that we're going to give to you is going to be somewhere between the 1 and 3 year old range, because we want to have as much service life as possible out of that dog that we can give to you. So that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of how the process works. I will say though, in 2022, we're doing things a little bit different. We're going to give our team a break. We have worked hard for 3 years, okay? And we've put out 45 dogs to 17 states. So somebody viewing this might think, well, this organization is based out of Oklahoma. Well, why would we care about an organization based out of Oklahoma? Well, because we've delivered dogs to 17 states with ambitions to have a dog in every single state, or a presence in every single state. In addition, we even want to deliver a dog internationally, because anybody that's ever worn a uniform like me knows we've served with Romanians, Germans, Polish, Kiwis, you know, New Zealanders. There's a lot of different people in this world that are suffering from the same things that we suffer from. So long story short, in 2022, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be partnering up with as many professional trainers that we're going to vet. We want to make sure that they're training in the same way that we do, have the same philosophy, and we're going to give out grants to at least 22 veterans.
Speaking of fundraising, as you mentioned, I know that there's something going on through the end of the year that someone has stepped up. They want to remain anonymous, so we're not going to dig into that, but they have agreed that any money that comes in, they're going to match it.
This is an amazing thing. I would love to talk about these folks because they're owners of a couple different things. It's painful for me to not be able to talk about them, but we're a faith-based organization. These people are faith-based, and we understand that there's a couple things that you got to live by. Number one, never rob a man of his blessing, and number two, we don't do anything to glorify ourselves. And they felt that if they were going to do this thing, that they'd be glorifying themselves in some kind of way. I don't agree with that, because I know their hearts. But yes, we have an anonymous donor that is doing a dollar for dollar matching up to $50,000. This would afford us the opportunity to go into next year with $100,000, which we've never had that kind of operating budget before. To date, we've raised just under $9,000. So that's $18,000 that we've already raised. And I'm telling you, that puts to shame our first year fundraising totals. So we have till the end of the year to try and bring this thing home. We're almost a fifth of the way there. We closed out October with $7,000. We started this year with about $1,600, or excuse me, started November with $1,600 in the first week. And it's just so impressive. But again, this isn't a story about Kevin Doncaster. This is a story of all the people that have come together to support us throughout this entire endeavor. And I keep telling people, this is not a story of me. It's a story of we. I'm blessed, and I feel so fortunate to have spearheaded this thing. But man, the community is what's made this possible by a long shot.
I know there's someone listening and watching right now that wants to be able to help financially. How do they do that? Where do they, what avenue do they take in order to get those finances to you?
You bet. So we're real big on Facebook. So we have a presence on Facebook. We even have a donate button there at Warhawk PTSD Service Dogs. If you want to find us on the web, it's www.warhawkptsdservicedogs.org. You can donate directly through the website. We use PayPal, but even if you don't have a PayPal account, you can use any form of payment there that you want to donate. And again, it's getting dollar for dollar matched. If you like to mail, you can mail us at Warhawk PTSD Service Dogs. That's what you would make the check out to. P.O. Box 1322, Bartlesville, Oklahoma 74005. And if you need more information, you can always call or text at 918-815-6775.
Well, Kevin, thank you very much for your time. And I look forward to working with you on this. I think that we can try to help you raise some finances here and try to get more of these animals into the right hands. And as you said, you have to find the trainers. There's a lot of steps involved with this that you're still working with, and you've got some in place, but there's a lot more work to do, because it's not a small problem, and it's not going away tomorrow. So thank you very much for everything that you've done so far.
No, I just want to thank you too, Todd, for giving us this audience. And again, I look forward to working with you as well. This is something that plagues a lot of people. And again, every 13 minutes in America, someone is dying by suicide, and that's what we want to help address. Next year is going to be the first year that we do veterans only, but then after that, we're going to go right back to our roots, helping as many people as we possibly can, regardless of their walk of life.
He is Kevin Doncaster, president and founder of Warhawk PTSD Service Dogs, a new and welcome addition to Iowa. Thank you very much for you and your family, and also thank your wife. She's also a Marine veteran. We want to thank her for her service as well with, of course, Veterans Day this week. So we'll be talking again very, very soon.
Thank you, Todd. Have a great day.